Do you feel like you're doing everything right? Therapy, journaling, meditation, supplements, and yet your symptoms aren't improving? Here's the reason for that. Sometimes the harder we try, the more our body stays in stress mode, and that can actually slow down our recovery. Today, I want to show you how doing less, yes, less, can actually help your body heal faster. We live in a society that glorifies being busy and productive. There used to be a time when I had a quiet weekend planned, and I'd feel like there must have been something wrong with me. Like maybe I didn't have enough friends or I wasn't doing enough. These days, I feel quite the opposite. Of course, there are important things that we want to make time. For you, that might be celebrating with families, watching your kids or grandkids play sport, playing sport yourself, or whatever you value most truly in life. TMS types, or people who suffer from neuroplastic pain, are often described as perfectionists and high achievers. And that same pattern can be something that shows up in healing too. That belief that the more work I do, the faster I'll heal. But when healing becomes another job or a task to be done, your body never gets the message that it's safe to relax, and it can actually keep your nervous system in a subtle state of urgency. Many of you will have heard of the rest and digest part of the nervous system that is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And the phrase really says it all. First, we need to rest in order to digest. That's true not only for digesting food, but also digesting life, our emotions and our experiences. When we are in that calm, rest and digest state, our stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline lower, our digestion improves, our muscles soften, and we become less sensitive to pain. And when it comes to neuroplastic pain, a relaxed, safe nervous system is much less likely to interpret normal sensations as dangerous. When you stop pushing, you create space for your emotions to come up naturally instead of being forced out or even worse, forced down. It's tempting to just keep going, keep trying new things, new modalities because the last one didn't work. But what if taking your time and letting things unfold gently was actually the most effective path? I totally understand that slowing down can be scary. I'm really impatient by nature too, and I like quick results. But with neuroplastic pain, whether that's IBS, headaches, back pain, or maybe fibromyalgia, really important to let go of that urgency. I like to think of healing like climbing a very steep mountain. Perhaps you take one step at a time, have a rest before you take the next step. Perhaps you'll take 1 or 2 steps, have a rest, and then continue on. Or you can take the other path where you push yourself so hard and you rush up that mountain and you arrive to the top exhausted, flustered, and out of breath, compared to the person who'd rested along the way and arrived feeling quite good, quite settled, and quite safe. In reality, this might look like journaling every other day rather than daily, doing yoga twice a week, perhaps instead of 3 times a week, or just taking 1 weekend a month off from the healing work altogether and just planning something that you enjoy. When we stop constricting ourselves with pressure and guilt, our energy can actually start to flow again, and that's when true healing can occur. I often see this with clients who are doing so much. They've read all the TMS books, listen to every podcast, they journal every night, they practice yoga, they might see their psychologist and also see me for hypnotherapy and coaching. But sometimes I suggest they actually do just a little bit less. I always give my clients flexibility with session frequency because healing isn't about squeezing even more into their often very busy lives. And the amazing thing is they often come back saying they feel better with less. It's like turning down the intensity allows the system to finally breathe. What does doing less actually look like in practice? Here are a few gentle ideas that you might like to consider. So it might be easing the frequency or time of your healing activities. Still do them, but just take the pressure off a little bit and do them when you feel up to doing them rather than really pushing or forcing if you really don't feel like doing them on a given day or for a specific period of time. You can also consider simplifying your healing routine. So perhaps picking 1 or 2 practices or modalities that you genuinely enjoy instead of many you feel you should do. Another simple practice that you might like to consider is just taking some pleasure in the present moment. So just a moment to take a breath, notice your feet on the floor, or it might even be a super quick somatic tracking where you just go, oh, I'm feeling that sensation in my body, it feels like this. And then moving on, just noticing that in the present, not because you've scheduled it in, but just you notice a bit of a sensation. Just take a moment to label it in the moment, take a breath and move on. Another thing that's really important to consider is resting without guilt. So whatever that means for you, resting can be taking a nap, but resting for you may also be reading a book or watching a movie. But just taking some time to rest because it feels good to rest, not because you feel like you've earned it. And something else that I find really important that I think we should all try and schedule in if we can is spending some time in nature. With no agenda in particular, maybe just taking a gentle walk or sitting on the grass, or perhaps even watching the clouds drift by. Not necessarily doing it for a certain amount of time, just taking a moment to be in that moment and to notice what is around you in the natural environment. And you might ask, what should I do with that time that I've freed up from not having to work on the things that fix me? I would just say, just do something that is purely fun. Something that has no purpose other than enjoyment and self-care. And this is especially important if you're someone who tends to put others first. Know that it might be uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the kindest things that you can do for your nervous system. So just remembering that doing less isn't about giving up, it's about letting go of the pressure and intensity. You're still doing things, but they're coming from a place of ease and enjoyment rather than urgent. And if you're feeling tired and overwhelmed, sometimes just taking a few breaths is better than forcing yourself to journal or meditate for 10 or 20 minutes. It's actually possible that your symptoms are simply your body trying to tell you, I need a break, I need a rest, I need some joy in my life. And in my work with clients, I often see that when someone stops trying so hard and adds some fun activities into their schedule, their whole system tends to recalibrate. It's like their body finally feels safe enough to release the pain, the urgency, and the tension. If this video has helped you rethink healing, I share weekly videos about mind-body connection and nervous system health. So if you'd like to keep learning and reconnecting with your body's wisdom, please hit subscribe and stay connected.